GA Scumbags, welcome back. We are back yet again for another game preview pod. Duke is taking on Cal this week. We'll be recapping the ass whooping and the juicing of the orange. Of course, diving into your guys' mailbag, giving you guys the best bets, random Duke player of the week, all that scummy goodness. As you guys could see, we're down a scum tonight. Eli's got some things going on, so it'll be me and Tyler carrying through this episode. Go ahead and get Tyler's opening thoughts on cues, and we'll get into some stats for you guys.
Yeah, hey, look, I have my own thoughts about Syracuse that I'll get into in a little bit because I don't want to be too critical of a win. 38-3, it was never like maybe two drives. It was in doubt, but not really. 2-0 in ACC play, really all you can ask for. Duke just kind of went in there and boy, if you listen to Fran Brown talk at halftime, after the game, and even like his presser this week already, dude, he is like we killed Syracuse. Like they have no like will to live anymore. But I think some of that's Ricky Collins. Like he's just bad. Like oh my god. Um, Duke outgained them 504 to 314. Yardage wise. The Nate Sheppard game. Um, not to say we told you so again on another position, but go back and watch the running backs episode. We said Nate Sheppard would be running back one, folks. Um, just an absolute legacy game from him. Um, really, the only thing to harp on were penalties, and I mean the two OPIs were pretty bad. Like no one calls OPI these days unless you blatantly push. Um, like there were still some just dumb penalties. Bryce Davis decapitating the quarterback up 30 points. Caleb Weaver launching off of 2 feet to headbutt the quarterback. Um, so penalties were a little rough. Duke won the turnover battle. Um, I could be wrong, but I think this is the first time all year Duke didn't have a turnover. We may not have had one against State. I don't
We
remember.
did. We were over against State and
Okay,
Syracuse, yeah,
so
but we won the turnover battle in both those games. And look at the results compared to Illinois and Tulane. So crazy how that works. You take care of the football, you keep the football in your possession, you win the football game, and miraculously the defense plays a lot better because they're not on the
yeah,
field for the entire game. So shout out to Duke in those regards. The penalties, I try not to blame things on the refs, but in a 38-3 game, you can kind of just tell some of those are gimmies. Not to discredit Syracuse, but they were getting their ass beat. The refs kind of had to give them some yards at times. That's just how it works in the industry. Some of those OPIs, not going to look too far into those. Don't think it's going to be a consistent issue. Didn't really have any false start issues. Every penalty was like playing hard, essentially. I mean, even Bryce Davis, like, yeah, is it a bad penalty? Sure. Does it really matter? Is it something to be concerned about? Absolutely not. He was just playing hard till the end of the game, even though we were up by 35, So I respect that. And it was good to see those young guys get out on the field. Like Tyler was just saying, offensively, we moved the ball from the start of the game to the end of the game. Mensa did really well, 268 yards, two touchdowns. Shep had 168 yards, two touchdowns, 200 plus total yards of offense. Anderson had another great game as the workhorse kind of guy, 42 yards, one touchdown. We kind of said it preseason. Um, you're never going to see Anderson bust those 120-yard games more than likely. I mean, last week, of course, he did against State. But, 40 to 50 yards with a touchdown on 10 carries is something you'd like to see out of him consistently. And then the receivers, man, you had Queso, Coop, Samir, Sheppard was involved in that, and the tight ends as well, like Jeremiah at least. All did really well, spread the love around. It was good to see offensively.
yeah, and like the thing that like with Mensa, is I don't want to say he was a non-factor because like 22 or 26, 27, he had 272 touchdowns, but like it was really good on Duke's end that it felt like Mensa was just kind of there, but it was
Mm-hmm.
because we actually ran the ball.
Yeah, Mensa was just able to manage the game from what he didn't have to do too much. He just had to do what he needed to. He didn't have to worry about making any crazy ass plays on third and long with the game on the line. Penalty after penalty type deal. And that was kind of the same for NC State, and you can tell he's just really settled into a groove. 13 TDs, two picks on the year, and a boat ass load of yards. So those are all real good. Offensively, really nothing to harp on. O line, Jordan Larson. If you guys like to watch O line, man, and you like run blocking, watch old Jordan Larson and Brian Parker there in the guard positions, just doing what they do. Matt Craycraft as well, and Justin Pickett had a hell of a game.
And I was say Pickett actually balled out.
Yep, and and then of course both tackles. So, the whole O line, including the tight ends as well. We used a lot of two tight end sets, which was really cool, and we ran the ball well. So, very encouraging to see. Defensively, 3 points allowed. Hell yeah,
And
hell yeah,
Fran Brown trying to be a scumbag, calling timeouts with under a minute to go, trying to get that touchdown in, and Duke makes a goal
yeah.
line stand with
Yeah,
the
fuck you,
backup.
Fran. Like we were gassing Fran up like before the in the group chat. Not even like gassing him up, but just like he's a good guy. We like him as a coach. He's a real good blue collar type of coach. And then he pulls some shit like that. So Fran, you've lost all respect from the scumbags. I will be asking about that at media day next year, and not in the breakout room. That will be a panel question. They will come to me. So Fran, if you ever hear this, just know you got about a year to figure it out, buddy. But defensively, limited penalties, forced turnovers. We're hawking to the ball. The secondary outside of Rivers was looking really good. Rivers had a couple of tough, a little bit of a rough start to the game, but he settled in after that first drive and did really well. But it was good to see Kamari, Landon Callahan, Deshaun, Musa all step up in those corner positions and take some of that load off of Chandler finally. And then, hey, credit where it's due. The linebackers, the boys, Tyler gave him a little dive on them on what our fellas did.
Yeah, no one's been more critical than me this year in terms of like some of our freshmen not getting reps. And I'm going to keep banging that drum even louder now. Gompers, 4 tackles, 3 solo tackles, by the way, and had the fumble recovery on that weird play where uh, they called targeting on Kevin O'Connor, and I don't even think Kevin was on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Gompers just fumble cover. Elliot Shopper, 3 tackles. Freshman safety Andrew Pelachata, 2 tackles. Freshman safety Makai Jones, 2 tackles. Um, so like they were flying all over the place. Bryce Davis got the roughing the passer penalty, whatever, but he was out there a few snaps. So and shout out Musa Kane for 9 tackles. Not a freshman, but
Yeah.
really first year seeing significant snaps.
There's we were talking about it on the pod last week. A lot of people started to freak out because they're like Gompers and Shap both, having to get in there and get reps this early. But like, man, when you have talented recruits, it's okay that they play because they're better than your 1 star recruit or 2 star recruit from Connecticut that you did need to sit for 3 years, possibly even four, before you could get meaningful snaps out of them. Shaper came from Westlake. He came in ready. Gompers, elite build, elite frame. A lot of guys are wanting to tag on him for being a little undersized. Like, they're all going to be a little undersized at 18, 19. But talent in college football prevails over size a little bit at times. And, especially in like a rotational position where you're not out there constantly, your talent could take over some of those size deficits. Some of those offensive linemen are worn down. Running backs are slowing down a little bit. You can really take that to your advantage. And it was good to see those guys flying around to the ball.
Yeah, I mean, like I will say the one here comes me being negative. This is my one negative comment about the game, folks, and I'm going to leave it at that. And when we get into Cal, I'll talk on it a little bit more. But I just I'm not ready to buy back in on Duke's defense fully. It was a good sign, but I need to see Duke do it against a quarterback that doesn't look like he's completely lost. Like,
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was a dog shit quarterback. Preps to Duke for getting the pressures and stuff.
say the defensive line, they did their job all
Yeah,
game.
God Almighty, Vince and VJ, Aaron Hall, man, Preston Watson, unsung hero this year, man. He up there in the guts with Aaron Hall. They are just plugging A, B, and C gap, and it is a thing of beauty to watch.
Yeah, and so like I said, I'm not trying to discredit what Duke did, but like let me see Duke do it this weekend, and then guys, I will be all back in. I'm just saying, don't some of
And
it.
that's
Just hold off for a second before we get like to the we're back train.
yeah, that's a warranted opinion. Like we could feel better about Duke, probably getting 8 wins now, but we also don't necessarily need to feel like the defense is going to be going out there and doing this every week. I believe they can, but I need to see it a little bit more. Talent's there. We've always said the talent's there. Just got to see it consistently. Special teams, was solid out, like, fundamentally solid. Todd missed the field goal. I mean, it's almost like you knew it was going to happen. Like it didn't matter, and like yeah, you're like, but it's a daytime Todd Polino, but at the same time, it's in a dome. I feel like the dome. It's like the Alex Jones thing where he's wearing a tinfoil hat. It fucks with him, and that's okay. He made all his point afters. Other than that, solid.
Well, it's one of those things where like, and spoiler alert for that so Duke moment this week, by the way. Duke almost had a perfect first half, almost had a perfect first half, and that's so Duke moment this week. Todd trots out there, we're up however much at halftime. It's a lot to not much at halftime. Um, and Todd comes out for what, like 40 yarder to end the half.
Yeah, it was like a 43 or 47. It had
Yeah,
a little distance on it.
yeah.
Just
Comes
you
out
knew it
in
wasn't
the half
going.
on like just an absolute high note, like going to like pumped up, and just of course he misses it. We love Todd. It's just like one of those things where, like that's just like Duke's never beaten those allegations. Like we
If
play a perfect half.
if that game was to either put Duke up 3 or to tie it before halftime, Todd would have 50-50 that bitch. But the
Yeah,
fact that the kick just didn't matter at all, it's like you just knew beforehand this is a toe shank. And that's okay. But yeah, that's so Duke. These that's so Duke moments. There's so many to choose from. But thank God, this week there wasn't a streamer for us to meet because who the fuck wants to stream in Syracuse, New York? They barely let polar bears live up there anymore. Truly decrepit area. But
Bayheim killing
yeah,
it.
yeah. Jim Boeheim killed somebody just like Brian Kelly, but you guys aren't ready for that conversation yet. I mean, it's to wrap up on the Syracuse stuff. Great performance from Duke. That was a fun one. First one that felt like we conquered the game from start to finish. We beat State's ass, but we got down early to State. At times, I did not feel I felt conquered. I didn't feel like I was the one doing the conquering. So that was really fun, and good stuff there from Duke. And we're proud of that win, and we're ready to roll to Cal.
And one last before we get to the mailbag, we've been very critical. Brewer, again, we're listening,
Yeah,
listening.
you have my attention.
Yeah,
So yeah, as always, Eli usually takes the mailbag. I'll be taking it today, guys. We're gonna give you the best scummy answers that we can. So first up, we got the Duke of QP here. Why has it taken until Syracuse for Duke to play close to its full potential? Do you think it's preseason expectations, a multi-million-dollar QB, got to the team and the staff early in the year, or any other thing? I honestly just think we were a tad young. Our depth wasn't there to beat teams like Illinois and Tulane at that time. The difference between 2 or 3 games into the season and 5 or 6 when it comes to a freshman or redshirt freshman or sophomore getting snaps, I feel like is a huge difference when it comes to game time. And I think that's why Duke's coming around right now.
yeah. And just real quick, I will say like the whole playing to Duke's potential. Really, the offense minus the turnovers against Illinois, the offense has played up more than its potential all year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just more been no one thought the defense was going to struggle as much as it has. But like Noah said, like we're young, like we're very young.
Yeah, I mean Landon Callahan can't even buy a pack of fucking Zins yet. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, come on. We got one corner that can go get a beer from the Exxon. You know, it's like, come
Crawford
on now.
just got his driver's license, guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but yeah, 100%. Our buddy Duke Gang at Dylan Tysinger 1. Do you guys think that our defense is starting to find their identity and rhythm, or was the Syracuse offense that bad with their backup quarterback? Also, do y'all have any exclusive access on Terry Moore coming back? Keep up the good work. Love y'all's content. Well, first, Dylan, thank you for the end of that. We do appreciate it. Second of all, on Terry Moore, we know about what everybody else knows that's in any sort of in tune to the program. From everything we've heard, we're not going to see Terry probably till after both bye weeks, but it's kind of a good thing that after this game we have 3 weeks and one game in between. There's a chance maybe we could see Terry back post Clemson or maybe for Clemson, but outside of that, don't really have any for certains on the Terry Moore stuff. As for identity and rhythm, Syracuse offense did suck, but you can't negate a good performance when it comes to fundamentals. And it definitely looks like Duke found their footing in those regards. Limited penalties, forced turnovers, tackling was much, much better. Not blowing zone coverage schemes, man to man coverage looked great. Defensive line looked great. I was impressed.
Yeah, as far as the defense goes, yeah, the Terry Moore thing, like we don't, no one knows. Defensively speaking, I think it was a mixed bag of both. I think the injury to Angeli made Duke more confident, and I think confident Duke played like Duke should play. So I think it helped, but I don't think the game solely depended on Angeli like being out.
100%.
Duke still forced Collins into a lot of those mistakes.
Yeah,
That said, he sucked. Like he sucked because of the defense partially. So I think it was a mixed bag of both. We'll know more about
100%.
Duke's defense this weekend.
Yeah. Our a new follower, a burner who we of course appreciate. Anybody that can help out those Duke students or anybody, the burnerverse, keep on going. Stone Sauce, my no question, yeah, whatever that is, no question. But I just have to say it's great to see Manny fired up on the sidelines, up 3-4. Scores yelling at the players for messing up instead of just standing there like he did at Tulane like he's getting more flashbacks. Yeah, 100%. You want to see your coach have a lot more fight to him. Um, that's a, Manny was out there doing his Nick Saban thing, cut, just run the damn route.
Well,
Jarrell, just, it's cut, not out, run the route. But yeah, I mean, I love seeing Manny get hype. He lacks emotion so much that like a little bit out of him is always a pleasant surprise.
yeah, like it's nice to see him fired up because the team takes on the persona of your head coach. Like if you have a, and this isn't like to make fun of me, like coaches that do things different. Like if you remember the Elko days, Elko would like over little things get pumped up, and like the sideline reflected that. Like the sideline was amped up and having fun. And really, until the state game this year, you haven't seen that out of the sideline. The sideline had been kind of dead and stuff. But during the I forget what the play was, but there's that clip of during the Syracuse game. The referee's right there, and we're doing the dog thing. We're holding it back right behind the official. Like this was the first game it felt like Duke just kind of cut back and played ball.
100, yeah, 100%. Definitely better to see that energy and see the guys getting amped up. That's a David Feely effect as well. Our boy Jason Rogers, goat. In the past few games, our offensive average more yards per game versus last year's team. And also, what about in school history and the era of modern day football? Yeah, I believe that this Duke team points per game wise is kind of like on track with like I think it was 2016 or 2017. Duke, the Scums, we are blessed. I want to shout out our guy at BSBL. He has kind of taken over in our stats department. Very cool. I think it's something he's wanting to do with his college, so it's cool of him. He's put out some really great stuff for us to get some of these numbers for you guys in depth, from special teams, defense, rushing stats, any offensive categories you can think of. So just want to shout him out. We'll definitely be getting more stuff like that, so feel free to ask questions along those lines. Next up, our OG. Shout out Tim. Happy birthday, Tim, from the Scums one last time. Everybody that listens to this, shout Tim out. Happy 40th birthday. Scums, who would y'all give the game ball to against Syracuse? And which week 5 game did impress you guys the most? Go ahead, Tyler.
Game ball. I mean, some weeks you can make arguments for multiple. It's Nate
Not
Sheppard.
this week.
Like there's one guy. Um, this game that impressed me the most. There there were a lot of good games this weekend, folks. By the way, just real quick, to answer Tim's question, like for those of you that love college football, this was like the week. We get those weeks, 2 or 3 weeks a year, but like they never actually always deliver.
This one did.
This one delivered. I mean, Bama, Georgia was good. Or I'm gonna touch on this one we tasty roundup. I'm gonna go to Charlottesville.
There you go. Yeah, that's
Or
an easy
on Friday
argument, I
night.
feel like.
Yeah.
Mine's going to be Oregon Penn State with the overtime drama. I actually like greened out for like an hour and then woke up and they gave us an overtime and I desperately needed Oregon to win. So that was cool. Woke up, saw it win, went right back to fucking sleep. Well, actually, I saw Dan Lanning and his coke eyes and snorting his. That shit was crazy. I was like, hell yeah, Dan. Dan is a lover of bag. But anyways, that was my favorite game of the week. And like Tyler's saying, game balls Nate Sheppard. There's just no other arguments to it. That was an elite performance. Sean Wilson, Kansas vibes, if you will. So yeah, good things to come from Nate, man. Next up, our sweet, sweet Bentley Weeks. There's no question that at Duke at their best should handle Cal this Saturday. I agree. But as we know, nothing is a given. So what's Cal's strength? An area where they'd look to take an advantage of us, or maybe a player to watch? Bentley, we're just going to touch on this in the Cal one. I didn't read that prior. My bad. We'll circle back to Bentley. Our guy Joshy J, the dude Deuce. What was your thoughts on the play calling this week? Seemed to be in a really good flow.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what happens when you like have a running. If it's Quest, when you have a running back that like you can establish a run game with, it opens up all kinds of things. Play action, read options, screen, like everything opens up.
Oh, dude, the play action skinny post to Cooper Barcade. I just wanted to, I wanted to spit all over the TV. That was just a thing of beauty, man. But yeah, I'm on the same page. Brewer, like Tyler said also when we were wrapping up Syracuse, we are set. So, there's no ill will coming from us on those regards. Infante will hear you out in a few weeks. Our guy Jen Wright at Bull City Jen. Can we beat GT and Clemson? Can we beat Cal and UVA? Two different tiers, but we can win those 4 games? Question mark. When will Mensa be in the national conversation? And can we convince Barcate to finish up at Fuqua next year? So I think there's not a game on Duke's schedule anymore that they can't win. I said this the other day. The only game I think Duke outright would lose on paper is Georgia Tech. They are better than everybody else on the schedule, including UVA. UVA fluked on Florida State. I've got not that you'll understand why when Louisville beats them by 28 on Saturday. You'll understand why. But I'm cool with UVA. I have no beef with them. But I think Duke's a better team. So in my opinion, you know, I still see an avenue for Duke to go 9-3. I don't think it's all that crazy to believe in. And also for Mensa on the national conversation level, if he stays at Duke, has a great year this year, and like there is like a world where Mensa does stay, where things get rolling. Duke finishes 9-3, wins a bowl, finishes 10-2, loses a bowl, whatever. And the vibes are high, and we've got enough talent to keep him. I would imagine more so would be next year, but if he's got us rolling 8-3 or maybe 7-2 at some point this season, they're going to be talking about him on game day and stuff. No doubt about it. He gets a lot of love in the YouTube and Instagram sports talk community. You see a lot of individual people that don't work for the ESPN, Fox, or things like that that talk about him. So eventually it's going to pick up.
Yeah, as far as these next four UConn aside, it's not a conference game. These next four conference games mean a lot for Duke. It's just in the sense of like if Duke goes 3-1 or 4-0, Charlotte is almost a lot.
Hmm.
Um, it depends on the one you lose. Like realistically, you probably cannot lose Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
If you beat Georgia Tech, then you can probably avoid to maybe slip up to Clemson the next week because you have that tiebreaker. Because if you look at Tech's schedule, Georgia Tech's not losing more than one conference game.
We would be. They know we're their toughest game too. Like Tech ain't underselling Duke. That's the thing Duke's got to realize. They can't go in as, oh, Tech's just going to look right past us. Not going to be the case.
So like if Duke was able to go 3-1 in these next 4 weeks, you have to beat Georgia Tech unless something weird happens. But
Yep.
if you go 3-1 in these next four, like there's I'd say an 80 to 90, 85 to 90% chance you end up in Charlotte winning the Erie. Um, because if you realistically, if you beat those guys, Carolina, I originally thought Carolina might give us a game this year.
They're dog shit. We ought to. It ought to be remnant of a 2014 Carolina beating us 54-14. We ought to do the same thing in return this year.
they're bad. And Wake, I mean, Wake will probably win a close game. That's just what they do now. But like, if we win those
That's
games,
just what Wake does.
imagine, oh my God, I see it now. Wake Forest and Jake Dickert beat us to keep us out of Charlotte, man.
We're a two loss team, no ACC losses, but somehow one lost awake would boot us to third place. That's just so Duke. Our guy Jousey turning my TV off if I see anything other than Shepherd or Castle this week. Agreed. Tim Hayes, what's the tougher game going forward? Clemson on the road or Virginia at home? It's a good question, but I would still say Clemson on the road just due to environment. We'll all 8,000 people that show up for that cold ass UVA game will lull them boys to sleep. Tony Elliott's not built for Durham.
Yeah, I don't. I'm kind of on the same like wavelength. I don't think. I still think Virginia's got a little fraudulency into them. I don't think they're as good as like they. Louisville should be ranked by this. I'm getting to AP real quick. Louisville not being ranked, but Virginia being ranked is atrocious.
Crazy, crazy as fuck.
I get Louisville just beat Florida State at home, whatever. Virginia is not a top 25 team at
No,
all.
people are just drinking Kool Aid because they beat VCU
Uh,
and a bunch of FCS
so
teams, and then lost to State. Like, come on, and
I,
State just lost to VT. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. The
I think
Wolfpack are dog shit.
Virginia's offense will cause more problems for Duke, but at the same time, I like Virginia's giving up like 30 points a game. I'm
Yeah.
not worried about us with Virginia. Clemson, like Death Valley's tough to play no matter what. They still play defense at Clemson. So like
Mm-hmm.
it's still gonna like Duke's gonna have to try and win that one. But and like Dabo revenge.
They're gonna have to play
Dabo
hard.
Dabo wants that game. Like,
And then our last one here is from Marlin One. I think this is a little joke with some back context of the Blue Devil wall, but so what do you have to say to 53 after today? LOL. If this is Brian's dad or uncle, absolutely, this is a really funny joke. If this is somebody that doesn't know the backstory and you thought we were like actively shitting on Brian, just take it for a walk. But no, it was real funny at the Devil Walk. Pre NC State when we were joking around about the running game being abandoned stuff and the media day jokes. So we're real happy to see Brian Anchor in that offensive line and leading them successfully. But
that,
yeah,
that,
another successful mailbag. We appreciate all your guys' insights each week. Best bets up next.
yeah, shout out Noah by the way. Noah carried the bet last week. I did not have a strong week, but it's through 5 weeks of making best bets now, and we're still winning, 22-17.
Yeah, I went undefeated last week. Got
Yeah,
us up a few. We were only up like two notches. Now we're up three. I mean,
Noah
up five.
5-3 last week. So it's kind of funny. We were sending each other our bets earlier before the pod, and this was like completely unscripted, unplanned. Some of our bets were like perfectly coincided together, which is just phenomenal to see. So this week I'm on Iowa State plus 2.5 against Cincinnati. Cincinnati flew like they beat Kansas at home last week. Iowa State isn't getting respected at all. Um, Rocco Beck been playing college football since Tim Tebow was at Florida. Um, so I think they'll roll. Colorado State at San Diego State. I'm taking the Aztecs minus 5.5. Sorry, Cal fans. I know San Diego State beat the shit out of you guys. But like Colorado State's awful. They just lost to Washington State, so I'm taking San Diego State there. Noah's boys, the Horns,
Hook 'em.
they're going into Florida this weekend to the swamp, and they're giving less than a touchdown. I'm gonna take Florida or Texas minus 6.5. Billy Napier sucks. DJ Lagway, if he's shitting his betting, it's Miami's defense. Say what you will about Arch and Texas's offense, they have like the number two defense in the nation still. But I just don't think Florida can score on Texas. So with that,
Agreed.
I'll take the Horns to cover. And my money line, speaking of Miami, Miami's going to Tallahassee this week. Florida State, I think, lost to Virginia because they were overlooking them ready for this game. Miami's going to Tallahassee, and I'm going to take Florida State in a bounce back here to upset the
Oh,
Queen because it's just so on brand for the ACC to self implode itself and just
yeah.
ruin our last undefeated playoff hopeful.
We
So
have
Florida
we
State.
have two teams with three losses in the conference championship.
So for that reason alone, I'll take Florida State to beat Miami because it just be so on brand for the conference.
Yeah, I definitely get the premise of that. I've got my first one's Vandy plus 10.5 versus Bama. I think Bama wins, but I think Vandy keeps it to three.
Or
Maybe 6.5 would have been where I drew my line. Then I've got the Huskies, Washington. They're playing decent football. Just got their brakes blown off by Ohio State though, but they're traveling back out to good old Maryland to play the Terps. But they're getting 6.5 points, so I'm taking the Huskies minus 6.5. To piggyback off Tyler's FSU a little bit, I don't think they'll win, but I think they'll cover. I got them at plus 4.5 right now on the old DraftKings. My money line, Iowa State plus 100 versus Cincinnati. 50 to win 100. It's an easy bet. It's a free bet. And then our scum bet of the week as one of our favorite scum teams, and also a new scum opposition because they faded the fuck out of us. We've got the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, baby. Big Red. You know what we think about Big Red here at this pod. We love that shit. Versus Delaware, the damn Blue Hens, man. We've had an itch all year. Plus 150. We're gonna roll with our boys, but if Delaware fades us, we might have to start being seeded for some Blue Hen football.
yeah, I just eventually one of these weeks Delaware has to lose. I took them to beat UConn. I took UConn to beat them. UConn couldn't beat them. I took Coach Simmons last week to beat him. Coach Simmons couldn't get the job done.
Fucking
Damn
really.
it, Western Kentucky and Big Red. My faith lies within you.
It,
Someone has to beat this Delaware team. They just got to the FBS.
they're doing their James Madison shit right now. They're gonna fill in a bowl game because there's not gonna be enough 6-win teams. But yeah, those are our bets. Looking to spread out that 5 game lead a little bit over 500. So
much much better than we were doing last year.
oh yeah, if you guys were around for season one, I mean, you're probably also as mind blown as we are. And before we get into our alt right friends down the road in Berkeley, we got our ACC roundup. We got a couple of main things here. I know Tyler's got the main one, so I'll let him have that. But just to touch on a few of the others, GT was down 20-3 versus Jake Dickert and company. Things get wild in Winston Salem at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. You know what I mean? One simply does not go to Old Salem and Haynes Mall Boulevard and make it back out alive most of the time. GT came back 30-29 in overtime. The refs did miss a really bad offsides that would have won Wake the game. It certainly didn't win Wake the game. So we are sorry, Dickert. As everybody knows, we do love Wake's new coach, and Wake itself, we ain't all that different. So we understand getting hosed by the refs. Dave Doran, that was it. Nail in the coffin. He will be done at the end of the year. They got a $15 million buyout to come up with, and then they got to come up with a lot of money for NIL facilities and a new coaching staff. So interesting. NC State lost to Virginia Tech, who just fired everybody, and their coach is like 93. Their
They don't
interim.
support out there. They just
Oh, Phillips 2-0, man. And then Louisville and Pitt were in a super close game. Cards were down 17-0 in the first. I had the Cards money line. I started apologizing to Card fans on Twitter, and then they won 34-27. So that was cool. And then I know the big one everybody saw on Friday night: FSU UVA.
just Florida State lost 46-38. Florida State's couldn't go their own way. Like I'm still not sold on Virginia. But to go to that Georgia Tech one real quick, all the statements like, "Oh, BJ was offsides on that Trey Freeman interception." You want to see offsides?
Yeah, look at that.
That some bitch for Georgia Tech was lined up past the tackle. They didn't call it.
100%.
Um, so like for Duke's sake, I'm glad Georgia Tech won because Duke needs to have a chance for a high profile win still because it was the state win. State was 3-1. It's like, hey, we just our state was undefeated. It was like we just beat a 3-0 state team. Like, hey, that's good. And then state lays an egg against Virginia Tech.
Now, if you look at their schedule, they're going to beat Campbell and UNC, and then and they'll be 5-7 at the end of the year at best if they beat UNC. It's an ugly schedule: Miami, Florida State, Notre Dame, Louisville. It's like, eh,
Can Louisville get respect? Like,
yeah.
what
Put
the
some put
dude?
some respect on Jeff Brom, man.
Miller Moss had like 400 yards. Jeff Brom's the quarterback factory out there at this point. Doesn't matter who it is.
He's like a young cut, man. He's just out there grooming.
Um, and shout out Nard Dog for shitting all over themselves and blowing a 17-point first quarter lead. Maybe Pat
That's
Narduzzi needs to be is the next Duke coach. It's with a performance like that.
that's so Nard.
But yeah, like it was a weird week for ACC football. Um, but getting into our buddies out in Berkeley, woke agenda, uh, the Cal Golden Bears. Now, shout out Calgorithm, Calgorithm, Calgorithm. I hope you guys find this.
Oh,
Love
they're
you
gonna
guys.
they're gonna find it.
Yeah, we love you guys. We love Oski. That being said, not this week. Cal comes into this game 4-1, and it's a weird scale. Like they beat Oregon State, but like who hasn't?
Oregon State's 0-5.
Yeah, they beat known FCS powerhouse Texas Southern. Then they beat Minnesota, who looks like a quality opponent, and then they went to BC, who we thought would be a lot better than they were, but like now they've lost to Stanford and like Cal. I don't know. Maybe Boston College isn't that
Yeah.
good. But like the outlier, and this is why I say they lost to San Diego State 35 or 38 to nothing.
Yeah, couldn't even
Like
score. Couldn't even put three up.
so like maybe that was just a weird game. I don't know, but Duke all time never lost a Cal. We're one we're 1-0-1 against the Bears. Carolina can say that.
Yeah,
As we all remember, we beat them in 1962. We all remember that 1963 tie where they didn't call the pass interference and should have won the game.
yeah. That was Peter Dodge just told me about that one a few times, first hand account.
Shout out Peter Dodge.
Shout out the goat Pete.
For those of you that don't know this, Cal has a general manager now. We met him at ACC Media Days. I got to talk to him for a few minutes. But old Riverboat Ron, Carolina Panthers legend.
Certified scumbag too. He was so cool at media day. Also said when we told him and introduced ourselves as the GA scumbags, he said scumbags. That's cool, and then like smiled and like gave us a fist bump. So that fucked. Thanks, Riverboat.
Yeah, shout out Coach Rivera. He's the general manager out there at Cal. It's his first year, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and from what all of our intel from the Cal algorithm has told us is like, no, not to discredit Coach Wilcox, but like Ron calls all the shots out there. Like any decision to be made, it's like his team. So they're in pretty good hands there. I feel like their head coach, friend of the pod. We're both Wilcox fans. Justin Wilcox in his ninth season. He's 46-51, but don't let that fool you. Have you talked to some Cal people? They'll tell you Cal was kind of like Duke in the sense of like they just didn't care about anything. Like that school didn't care to win in football, didn't care to invest in football, didn't care about basketball. But Cal's starting to turn the corner in that regard, and like a lot of them have said this is like the last 2 years of Wilcox's first time he's had like backing and support. So kind of tell hard to tell how he is, but we're fans of his work.
Yeah.
Uh, just run through some quick numbers, and then we'll kind of give you our thoughts on it. Their quarterback, not going to even try. JKS, dude, the stud, 5-star commit that was at Oregon. Somehow Cal flipped the kid. He's a lefty, so know that, Duke fans. He's got 1,242 yards on the season, 8 touchdowns, 4 picks. He's to be a true freshman. He's extremely solid. Um, their running back, they've got multiple guys, but like they have a few with 20 carries. But Kendrick Raphael, 75 carries, 347 yards, 2 touchdowns. Nothing to blow you away there. They've got some receivers. Wide receiver Con Gristle, 20 receptions for 344 yards and a touchdown. Jacob DeJesus, 28 receptions, 245 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is the game changer for Duke, if I had to guess. Tight end Mason Minnie. Dude's going to be a pro. Like, he's getting drafted. But he's got tight end 23 receptions for 223 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, last time Duke played a really good tight end, we shut Justin Jolie down. So that's gonna be a key for Duke to stop right there. Defensively, they're led by their linebacker Cade Ulave. Shout out Cade, met him at media day. Linebacker Luke Pirelli. Also, they have 48 and 38 tackles, or 40 and 38 tackles respectively. Two big injuries for the Golden Bears. Linebacker Ryan McCullough and defensive back Isaiah Crosby. 35 combined tackles between the two of those guys right there. Both of them are out for the season for Cal.
They were probably super vaxxed, and that's what happened.
Too many COVID boosters. You know how that stuff works.
Yeah, vaxxed.
They did. They probably forgot their masks for like the BC trip, so Cal kept them off the team.
LOL.
Um, but quarterback Hezekiah Mathis, dude's a stud. 22 tackles, 4 interceptions, and 6 PBUs on the season. God, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that'll play.
Uh, defensive linemen, they really only have one guy that stands out. TJ Bowlers has 15 tackles. Their offensive and defensive lines aren't great. They're solid. They've got 8 sacks as a team. They've only allowed 7. They're 24 points a game. They're only allowing 18 rushing yards. Cal gives up 111. They rush averaging 107. 225 yards through the air. They give up 195 yards through the air. It's cool to know Cal's only given up 2 passing touchdowns this year. That's it. Through 5 games, they've allowed 2 passing touchdowns. So that's something to monitor. I expect that to change this week with Mensa, but we'll see. Their third down offense, 38%, not great. So yet again, like Duke, please gonna stop on third down. Their defense gives up 32% on third down, so they're solid at getting off the field when it matters. Red zone offense for Cal, 16 to 20 for 13 touchdowns, pretty good. The red zone defense, thought Duke's red zone defense was bad. Um, Cal's only allowed opponents in the red zone 11 times all season, which is solid, but they've scored every time. They're 11 for 11 with 7 touchdowns. So if you cross the 20, like your chances are pretty high. Um, but Cal's a really solid team. Like they're not bad at anything, but they're not great at anything. They're the kind of team that like they want to wear you down and make you play, 4 quarters and try to be in it late and catch you with something. Um, if Duke can go out there early and jump up to a 14-point lead quick, I like Cal's not the kind of team that can come back. I don't feel like.
Yeah.
Um, they
Not to
rely
discredit Cal as well. Sorry to cut you off there, Tyler, but not to discredit Cal, but their numbers versus the competition they played are not good. They
like
should be scoring 35 plus points a game against the bummy schedule they've played. Um, their defense giving up 18, that's respectable. I mean, I'm just like they're a well-rounded, got solid fundamentals. They're well coached, but they're a tad lackluster when it comes to what they do on the field. It has won them games so far, but you've played Texas Southern, you've played a really bad Boston College, and Boston College almost beat you. Um, as well as I mean Oregon State's 0 and 5. You know what I mean? Minnesota is a decent win, but I mean, first game of the year, you never know who's going to win any matchup like that. You know what I mean? Minnesota lost to Carolina, in their first game last year. I mean, it's always a toss up. And then you get boat race 38 to nothing by San Diego State. You haven't gave me anything to be sold on yet. I respect the fundamental side of the game and being well coached and having some talent, but I do genuinely think this is another, like Syracuse, Duke is just a better, more athletic, faster, more talented football team from in every position group. I don't think Cal's got us necessarily beat outside of maybe linebacker because like Ulave is a baller. They've got some good stuff there.
Yeah,
But I mean, and I think Cal's still going to get 7 wins this year, maybe 8. But I don't know if they're going to do well on the ACC side of things.
I'm like you. Like I think he will get perfect. Like Cal is like we're not saying Cal's bad. Cal is like an extremely solid like team. They're like what I would equate to Duke in like the 2011 2012 Duke team. They were really good. Like they were solid football teams, but they didn't have what it takes to like when you were out talented to just you know
Catch
like
back up.
like no offense to Cal, I think the talent gap like Duke's record doesn't reflect it, but like this team is so damn good
Yeah.
talent wise. I think like Queso could have a really big game here. I think they're gonna put all their focus on Barcade.
Oh yeah.
Like all the
For Eli, hashtag free Andrell, because if they're
yeah.
blanket Barcade,
Um, I don't I don't think we're gonna have a big rushing game like you just saw. I think Duke's going to be able to run the ball when they need to, but I don't expect Duke to rush for 250 yards against Cal. Um, so long. I think Duke is going to be able to sustain drives. Um, they need this game to be higher scoring. I think a lower scoring game is going to favor Cal. And I think this game will be on the higher end. I think Duke is going to win, I'll say 31-20 Blue Devils. I think Cal gives them a fight, but I think Duke's just too talented in the end to pull. They just pull away late.
yeah, I'm kind of pretty close to the same wavelength. I think at halftime Duke can be up by 7, 10, maybe even 3, and then really pull away in the second half with the passing game, and then start pounding the rock with Nate and Anderson. I've got Duke 45, Cal 31. I think we give Cal maybe a touchdown and a field goal late.
And Eli's got 24-17 Duke. And again, shout out like all the Cal fans, Calgary. We love you guys. But, like we think you guys have a really solid, like fundamentally sound football team. It's a little better. Like
Yeah,
I'm trying to like downplay you guys. I just like you guys don't do anything great. You don't do anything bad. But I just think Duke's got too much at the end. I think our
yeah.
talent. I think we're going to build off the state game, head into the bye week, and boy, two well, 3 Saturdays from now, Georgia Tech, Wallace Wade. God, that's going to be a big game. We're
It's
so
gonna
going
end up being a noon kick, and 7,000 people will show up.
It was like another what was that hurricane game against Georgia Tech that one time?
2015, 16.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, 16, 17, I think. No,
yeah,
I was right the first time. Fuck, 15, 16.
that
Quit second
hurricane.
guessing myself.
We need Jeremy Cash to come back because if one man owned Georgia Tech, it was Jeremy Cash.
Yeah, Paul Johnson.
Yeah, fuck you, Paul Johnson.
Yeah, David Cutcliffe didn't die for Paul Johnson to get another win over Duke. So, but yeah, no, like Tyler was saying, Cal fans, we appreciate all the follows and interaction you guys give us as well. It's always fun talking shop, talking ball with you guys. Um, you know, I like Tyler was saying, I just think Duke overpowers Cal a little bit towards the end of the game, and that's kind of the difference maker here. And you know, I hope we're right because Duke being 4-2 heading into the bye week with Georgia Tech coming up, and then another bye week, and then a road game at a really shitty Clemson. I mean, you imagine Duke goes through this 3-0. There's a lot of big stuff on the table for them
Yeah, this,
fellas.
this is like it's a very manageable 3 game stretch for Duke, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
very like important 3 game stretch for Duke.
Yeah, it could blow up as easy as it goes well.
Yeah, Like we could be looking at this after the Clemson game, saying, "Hey, like we control our path to Charlotte."
Oh
We
yeah,
this after the Clemson game, saying, "Where's our bowl game coming?" Like,
for real. Is his wake the sixth?
yeah,
But
like
yeah, no, and I guess wrapping things up, just want to say thank you to all the scums, all the listeners, everybody that reposts, likes, shares, comments, listens to everything. It means a lot. Make sure you're following our Instagram and TikTok as well as X, YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed. And, really looking forward to wrapping things up with you guys assuming next Monday we'll probably be back on schedule for our Monday recording. This one's going to be a day late. So, we'll have a mailbag out. We'll also be doing some spaces, some ACC after dark spaces. None of us will be sober. I'm expecting those to probably have the best turnouts we've ever had on spaces before. Looking forward to ACC after dark. As always, go Blue Devils. Tyler, if you want to add anything, and then we'll wrap it up.
I mean, you said like shout out everybody, all the fans, anyone who interacts with us, just follow if you're not, you know, report. We get like a nickel from YouTube. No, they don't pay us. We suck at this.
15501 rent hadn't been paid in months.
Yeah. Shout out Eli. He's at the big job convention in the sky right now. Um, but yeah, like it's a really important game for Duke. They got to bring their A game. They'll have to play hard to win.
Got to play hard.
That one's pretty
Got to get
rough.
off the bus.
God, please get off the bus. Don't embarrass us, Duke. Oh, shout out Duke Trucker. He left. He left yesterday. That poor
Yeah.
soul. They left
Tandem
yesterday. The equipment truck did.
tandem driving. They're probably another day out right now. That's
They're
brutal.
broke down to Arkansas or something right now. Probably. We're gonna have to
Wow,
borrow Cal's practice jersey for the game.
crazy. But anyways, everybody, go Duke. Stay scum. Make sure you're following along. We appreciate y'all. Boom.